So here's another question from our proposals webinar, a question that came up in the chat, which either I missed it in the chat, so apologies, or I just didn't get to it in the webinar. But the question here is, in the absence of a template, what more to cover over and above answering the three questions? So the three questions really that you need to answer in a research proposal is, what are you going to study? Why are you going to study, and how are you going to study it? Okay, and we deal with that quite comprehensively in the webinar. You can go watch that, or go pick up the course as well. So, and I think if you get those three, and within them what I described, then you pick up sort of probably 80% of what needs to go into a research proposal. But there are some other things that need to go in. So I would maybe talk about ethical considerations, and that will come in the how to a degree. If your methodology, requires research on humans, you must talk about ethics, and you might just want to have a section on that. Especially I would imagine a medical study, there's going to be quite a bit of detail that's got to go in there. And then a couple of other things is a plan, and that again does link to how you're going to do it, but it's a project plan that says, month by month, or quarter by quarter if it's over a multi-year sort of period. What phases of your study are you going to get to? So now as you finish your proposal, then you need to go into data gathering, and are there some specific sort of tasks, what is the work breakdown structure that you need to get through to complete your data gathering. Then after data gathering is analysis, and then after analysis it's going to be some sort of interpretation, and I would have a parallel work stream all the way through that focuses on writing your final report. And I talk a lot about that in other courses, where you should start writing your final report the day your proposal is approved. That's a totally separate topic. So the other things that should go into a research proposal, I mean, what I put into my research proposal, and you can get my document inside the course and have a look at it if you want. I actually put a bit of a proposed structure of my final report. And I said, okay, well, these are the sections that I would have. This is what I'm going to be working towards. And really, because you've done a lot of the introduction, you've done a lot of the literature, you've done a lot of the methodology, the focus now needs to be on your results section, and then your discussion and or conclusion as the sort of sections of your final report. And your results section is quite important, because I talk a lot about the theoretical framework that you use, which is your scaffolding. And I did a grounded theory study, and I developed a range which had 15 theoretical codes from +7 to -7. And if you look at my results section in my final report, each of those theoretical codes has a subsection in my results. So my results is structured according to the theoretical framework that I developed. So you still need to be thinking about a theoretical framework, whether it's yours or whoever else's it is, or if you adapted one. And that sort of scaffolding to your study is going to come through in the structure of your actual final report. And that's going to give your reader, a route map. You can't just start rambling on about all your results. The reader's not going to know, and your examiner that's going to be examining your final report is not going to know where are you. You've got to give them a pattern. You've got to give them an overall structure. Now, look, it's something that might only develop, later on during your study. If I can remember correctly, I just sort of said section A, B, C, and D, and those would be the 4 elements of my theory. And I ended up having 5 sections across this range, and then with each of the 5 sections I had 3 theoretical codes. So 5 times 3, that was my 15 theoretical codes. So my results section, and then a bit of an introduction and a sort of different ways of looking at the results, but really the bulk of it was then working through these 15 theoretical codes in the results section. And just to answer this question, that was some of the things that I started putting in my proposal document right up front. Maybe just quickly before we step off this one, I actually did a full detailed proposal. It was about 20,000 words, and then I did a summary of the research proposal. It was more or less what's called a research design, and I summarized it all down into about maybe 10, 15 pages, if I can remember correctly. And then I referenced sections. A slightly different approach. I haven't seen it done a lot, but it was what my supervisors asked me for. And then if you think about it, I had the presentation, which was the highest level visualization of my study. Then I had this summary document, and then I had my detailed 20,000 word proposal. And a lot of that, as I say, again, I just, was able to reuse that with some adjustments in my final report. Okay, so we've talked at length now, I think, about what, over and above the three things could go into your research proposal.